Well, hello everyone, my name is Rick Passek, FlyFish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. Today I'll be tying a little jig pattern. It's a little, kind of like a caddis type pattern. It's got a nice heavy tungsten bead on it. You can tie it with underbody lead if you'd like, depending on the streams you're going to use it for. I've used this on streams and on lakes. Works better on streams. Have done okay on it with lakes as well. Yeah, it's definitely works really well on the streams. It's kind of a scruffy little pattern, but that is what we'll be tying. Alright, so let's get her going. As you can hear, nice heavy hook, nice heavy bead. So you can tie this on a size 10 or a size 12. That last one that I showed you was a size 12, and that's what I will be tying it on again now. You want to get a good quality hook for these. So I've got a jig hook here, jig bead. Right, oh, let's see if I can show you guys. It's got the slotted bead. Okay, and these are a size. Just hold on, let me get that in there. Size 12 Hanak competition H450 BL jig. So I will get that in there the right way. Get that into my vise. And I'm going to be using some Semperfli Classic waxed in a floral green. I'll be using some of the Semperfli new Semper-Seal. That's an artificial seal dubbing, and I'll be using the lichen right here, this color, as well as some of the Semperfli micro metal as a rib, and then I'll be using some CDC in a kind of an olivey green for the wing. Okay, so here we go. I know some people will go, "Oh, see, why are you using CDC on a jig? CDC is supposed to float and so on and so forth," which yes, it does, absolutely. But I really like the movement in CDC, and I really like the opalescence or the shine that CDC gives, and that's why I'm using it on these jigs. It's not gonna make this thing float any better because these are heavy tungsten jig head beads. So it's definitely not gonna make it float because of it. And I'm only using one tiny little feather anyway, so so all I'm doing here is I'm just building a little bit of a taper. Not much, just a little bit of a taper. Then I'm going to take my red micro metal. I really like this micro metal for this. Again, it's got a little bit of that shine. It's not as stiff as wire. So I will tie that in, and I'm going to tie this in a little bit past where I just stopped to about there, and then come back. And the reason of that is I want to create a little bit of a red butt. So now I'm going to be taking the gel core Micro Fritz in a medium olive from Semperfli. It's another new material that just came out with a few weeks ago here in November of 21. So I'm just going to come back to about the tip of the hook, maybe a little bit further. That's all I want for the body. But you see how I left a little bit of that red a little longer? So I'm just going to wrap this, touching wraps. I'm going to wrap it forward, right to the front, right to the bead. Lock that off, cut that off. Now I'm going to counter wrap and do just 5-6 turns right at the back here of this micro metal, and then I'm going to open it up and do a rib on. Oh, I got it caught in my bobbin. Do a rib on my fly itself, I want 4 or 5 turns, something like that. Lock it off. Lock it off. Done. Cut that off. So there you go. There's the, you could actually just leave it just like that and fish it as a nymph just like that. I'm going to add a little bit, like I said, my CDC wing onto here. It's not going to be much. It's just a tiny little piece of CDC here, right? I don't want much. I just want a little bit of a essence of a wing here, or a wing case. Make sure that's tied on and staying nice there. Yeah, there we go. Let's tie that down a little tighter. Nip off the excess. And I don't throw this fluffy stuff away. I keep this, I put it into a little bucket, and it's great dubbing. So now I'm going to take a little bit of that artificial seal substitute that Semperfli's come out with. Just going to clean this up a bit here because I've kind of nuts with it in the last couple of days. It's a new product, so playing with it's awesome. I really like this stuff, to be honest. It's the one thing, it is really long. You can see that the fibers are really long, but that's a kind of a good thing, because if you're tying bigger flies, you can use it when it's long. If you're tying smaller flies, just give it a cut. Right, it's perfect. I really like it. So now I'm going to just stroke that CDC forward. Just give it a couple of wraps with the dubbing right behind that CDC to help hold it up, and then a couple of wraps in front. Maybe a tiny bit more in there, in the front there. A couple more, 3-4 wraps. Nice and thin though, eh? That's it. Now stroke that back, make sure it's out of my way. Give that a whip finish. And then I'm going to take my, because of the dubbing and all that, it would be hard for me to get in there. So I'm just going to give a little bit of my Sally Hansen's right on my thread. And we'll make sure all that dubbing stays back out of the way. Give it a couple more whip finishes. Nice and tight. Nip that off. And there's your finished fly. Like I said, it's not a difficult fly to tie. Works really, really well in the rivers. Nice little jig pattern. This you can even see it in the light here, how that opalescence pops off of that CDC. It just catches that little bit of sunlight, and when it's in the water and gets wet, it catches those little air bubbles and stuff. I just love CDC. I love how CDC works underwater. It's just beautiful, right? So just nipping off a couple of those really long ones. I mean, not a really big deal, but yeah. So that's it. That's the fly. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give her a thumbs up. If you've subscribed, thank you very much. If you have not, please consider doing so. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be giving away a copy of my books that I wrote, as well as a selection of the flies tied on this channel. So, tie lines, everyone.